In this example, we will be using a local laptop to connect to a EC2 running on a private subnet using a jump box running on a public subnet. This is a very usual scenario in any business or enterprise where you have a VPC with much larger IP address range, which is divided into smaller subnets of public and private subnets. An example, public subnet uses a public facing solutions IP address with internet gateway, and private subnet might be hosting a database which do not need to have access on a public network. In our example, we have a two public and a private subnet, one with the internet gateway, one without. And we will be following step by step today, where we will create a VPC with this configuration, and we will be launching EC2 instance and connecting to the host step by step. Here I have already logged into my Amazon console and on a North Virginia US East 1. I'll go to the VPC application, and which will show me all the VPC that I have. Currently I only have a default VPC which comes with your Amazon account. For this example, I'll create a new VPC, and this new VPC wizard is very user friendly. You can actually select VPC and more and put the project name, whatever VPC name you want to give. I'm giving a quick lab, and you can see as I'm typing it, it actually articulating me what subnets it will create, what will be the routing table, and how private and public subnet it is automatically creating. Earlier it used to take time, now they have done a really great job. And I'm here simply going ahead with the default option. You can see the public subnet mean it has an internet gateway, and private subnet mean it does not. And the IP range I'm looking for that /16. And you can see here you can choose different options. I'm going with a 2 public subnet and 2 private subnet, and I'm not selecting any NAT gateway for my use case. And wait for some time, it is created. Now I can see my VPC, and I can clearly see all the VPC with private and public level has been created. You can see few things here. The tenancy is a default, which is we are using the shared Amazon infrastructure, otherwise it will be very expensive. And second, it is not a default VPC. It means when you are launching EC2 instance, you have to select this particular VPC. It will not automatically get selected. So now our VPC has been launched. Now let's go to launch the EC2 instance. And first time what I'll do, I will launch a EC2 instance and I will name it public because I will be launching it on a public subnet. For simplicity, I'll be choosing Ubuntu AMI, and I'll be creating a brand new private key. I'm using the newer version and giving it a name. And now key has been downloaded, and I'm creating a new security group. In this case, I'm giving anywhere just for use case, but it's not a best practice. You should always restrict your security group. And here I'm selecting the VPC which I just created because it will not show automatically, and I'm making sure I'm selecting the public subnet and also enabling the automatic IP assignment, public IP assignment. And rest all looks fine, and I should be good to go and launch my EC2 instance. Now the EC2 instance has been launched, and you can see I have got the public IP, and I'll make sure I'm able to connect to it. So first I have to change mode to 400 because it's a private key, and I want to make sure I'm able to connect to it. You have to put the username. Yeah, it's working. And now we'll go ahead and launch the second private subnet EC2 instance, where actually I want to jump through the public. And pretty much the same setting. For simplicity, I'll use the same private key, but you can choose a different private key. And again, I have to select the new VPC which I created, and also selecting the private subnet this time and not enabling the auto IP assignment. And here is a part. When I'm using the security group, I want to make sure I'm whitelisting the subnet of the public subnet. And here I'm just copy pasting that subnet I got from the IP, and I go ahead and launch it. I'm giving some description. And we are good to launch. Now you can see this is launched, and what I'll do here, I will connect, because it doesn't have any public IP, so I have to connect it from the EC2 instance which I've already logged in. And I'll copy the private key which I downloaded and paste the private key into the public subnet virtual machine EC2 instance, and giving a default path here, so that when I do a jump box, it will pick up this SSH key to connect to the hop from the hop server. And of course do a change mode to make sure, and this change I'm doing on the public subnet EC2, and making sure I'm able to connect from the public subnet EC2 to the private subnet EC2 to make sure that connection is fine. So now I can see the connection is fine. And now is the final setup, where I will add the key using SSH-add the private key which I created into my SSH environment, so that I don't have to specify every time. So key has been added, and now I will use the syntax SSH the target server, username at the rate target server, and -j the jump server. I simply need to replace the IP address. The jump server IP will be the internal IP. This is the target, and this is the jump server. Jump server is the public subnet, and the target server is the server with internal IP only. Now I should be able to log in. So now you see how we can actually use a hop, jump, or a Bastion Host server to jump to a private subnet instance and do our work. Thank you for watching.